Welcome to Wild Dreams, where the world winds down and your imagination wakes up. Before we begin tonight's journey into the hidden night lives of animals, take a moment, settle in, and let the weight of the day drift away. If you're still awake, I'd love to know, where are you watching from, and what time is it right now? It's peaceful to think that somewhere across the world, others are pressing play at the same moment, ready to share this quiet night. Tonight, we're slipping into a world that almost no one ever sees. A world that wakes only when sunlight fades, where shadows move with purpose and life continues in secret. So let your eyes soften, let your thoughts settle, and allow the darkness to become a doorway. Night settles over the old meadow like a blanket being pulled across the world. The last streaks of daylight retreat behind distant hills, turning the sky a deep shade of violet. In the fading light, the grasses sway, golden stems bending as if whispering to the coming night. A small barn, weathered by years of seasons passing, stands alone beside a stand of ancient oak trees. The boards creak occasionally, tired but rooted. Within its rafters, hidden from the day world, lives a family that only awakens when the rest of the meadow sleeps. High in the cool wooden beams, the barn owl opens her eyes. They are large, dark, glassy, mirrors that drink in every sliver of light. She blinks once, twice, adjusting to the world that belongs to her. Her feathers, soft and pale, seem to glow with the moonlight that filters through cracked slats in the barn walls. She stretches each wing slowly, preparing her body for the night ahead. Owls are born of silence, built by evolution to disappear into darkness. But even they have moments of stillness before flight. Beneath her, tucked deep in the hollow of a nesting box, 3 chicks sleep. Their bodies quiver as they dream, tiny beaks chirping faintly. Their down is fluffy and uneven, not yet the sleek feathers of adulthood. They are nearly a month old, and though they have begun to grow curious of the world beyond the nest, they still depend entirely on their mother to survive. The night for them is a question. For her, it is a mission. She leans over the nest and touches each chick gently with her beak, as if counting them. There is no sound. No owl would risk waking predators with unnecessary noise. Her heart beats steady and controlled, an instrument finely tuned by instinct. Hunger, however, is not subtle. The chicks stir, sensing her presence. One opens its beak and emits a soft rasping call, a request. The owl responds by touching it again, but she does not feed them. Not yet. Tonight, she must hunt first. Her wings unfurl in a slow motion sweep, revealing a span wider than the barn beams would suggest. She steps toward the opening in the slanted roof, pausing. The meadow beyond is dark, but not silent. Something moves. A moth drifts close, fluttering through a slice of moonlight. Deeper in the grass, a vole grazes on tender new shoots. She can hear these things. She has always heard them. And then she drops. Not falls, glides. She slips through the roof opening like a whispered thought leaving a dream. Outside, the night welcomes her. The moon hangs low and warm, not bright enough to expose her presence, but enough to reflect off her pale feathers. The meadow spreads out in every direction. Patches of wildflowers, tall grasses, clusters of clover. A line of trees borders the field where insects hum, and something distant rustles in the brush. The owl is nearly invisible in the air, soft edges, quiet power. Her wings do not flap, they breathe. Tiny comb-like structures on the leading edges of her feathers break up the turbulence. turning what should be noise into silence. She becomes the night. Below her, a small life shifts. A field mouse, nibbling a seed it found nestled between two stones. Its whiskers twitch. Its ears rotate independently, searching for danger. The mouse's world is immediate, sensed moment by moment. It does not plan, it reacts. It does not know that death floats above it without sound. The owl banks gently, using the slightest tilt of her wings. Her whole body becomes an instrument of listening. She tracks vibrations in the air, movement beneath the grass. Even the heartbeat of a mouse is a beacon to her. There is no rush. Hunting is patience embodied. She circles once, twice. The mouse continues eating, unaware. Then, she pulls her wings tight and drops, a silent streak of moonlit silver. Impact. It is over in an instant. The mouse did not even turn its head. The owl rises with her catch, carrying it back through the cool air. In her talons, the mouse hangs limp, swaying slightly with each movement of her wings. This is not violence, it is survival. If she does not return with food, the chicks will go hungry, their calls turning weaker as the night progresses. The barn waits for her like a sanctuary. She disappears back through the roof. The chicks stir, sensing her arrival. Soft chirps rise, more urgent this time. She lowers herself into the nesting box and tears off a small piece of mouse, offering it to the largest chick. The chick swallows clumsily. The second chick receives its share next. The third chick, the smallest, lifts its head eagerly, but she hesitates. It is always the third one, always the smallest. Not every chick in a nest survives. She cannot feed what she cannot sustain. The owl watches the smallest chick longer than the others, as though some awareness deep within her wrestles between instinct and something softer. Finally, she places a piece of meat into the third chick's open beak. It swallows and settles, comforted. The owl steps back, her breathing slow. She must hunt again. One mouse will not be enough. She moves toward the opening, but pauses, just a moment, looking down at the nest. Motherhood in the wild is never a guarantee. Hunger is a constant adversary. She launches again into the cool air. The night meadow has changed slightly since her first flight. Dew gathers on the grass. The air thickens with the scent of earth cooling after the heat of day. Above, clouds shift slowly, revealing more stars. She glides low this time, just inches above the ground, feeling the drag of air beneath her wings. Her facial disc, the feathers shaped like a heart around her eyes, funnels sound directly to her ears. Owls do not see their prey first. They hear it. Each rustle is a ripple in the still water of night. There, movement. She hears something near the base of an old oak tree. Not a mouse this time. The shuffle is heavier. A shrew, perhaps, or a mole. She hovers briefly, adjusting her angle, then releases herself downward. But the prey is quick. It vanishes beneath roots before she reaches the spot. She rises back into the air with a silent sweep of her wings. Failure is not defeat. It is simply continued hunger. She moves toward the tree line where the meadow meets a patch of dense shrubs. Her body disappears into the shadows. The wind brushes over her wings. Small droplets of dew cling to her underside. Every part of her is built for this life. Aerodynamic, weightless, exact. Hours pass. She hunts. She succeeds. She returns to the barn several times. Each time she lands, the chicks greet her with quiet, rasping calls. Their small bodies press close. She feeds them until their bellies round and their movements slow. The smallest chick receives enough to quiet its hunger, but not enough to make it thrive. Nature chooses its victories carefully. Later, near the blue edge of night, the deepest hour, something changes. A low rumble in the distance. Wind shifts direction. The owl knows this sound. A storm approaches. Storms complicate everything. Rain disrupts sound, makes hunting difficult. Heavy winds can throw an owl off course. Wet feathers weigh her down. If she cannot hunt, the chicks will go hungry until the weather passes. She lets the wind pass over her wings, tasting its current. The air cools rapidly. Leaves begin to tremble. Clouds bunch in secret layers across the sky. She must hunt now, before rain silences the night. She moves with determination, cutting across the meadow. Lightning flickers far away, illuminating the field for a fraction of a second, revealing shapes and shadows usually hidden. She senses the movement of prey below, but cannot pinpoint it yet. Wind tosses scent and sound unpredictably. She lands on a fence post, steadying herself. The metal is cold. The world contracts as the wind builds. She waits. Patience is her weapon. Then, a rustle. A vole, sheltered beneath a flattened cluster of grass, scurries toward the base of the fence. The owl's heart quickens. Timing is everything. She lifts slightly off the post, hovering in place as the storm builds. The vole moves again, closer now. She drops. Talons close around soft fur. She lifts into the air, but the wind surges at that exact moment. A sudden gust blows hard against her wings, throwing her sideways. She battles the air, struggling to regain control, gripping her prey tightly as she fights back toward the barn. Rain begins. Fat drops striking her feathers. She pushes harder, wings burning with effort. The barn comes into view.
The opening is small. The wind is relentless.
She aims, adjusts, then slips inside just as a blast of rain washes over the meadow. Safe. Inside, the chicks awaken to her arrival, chirping frantically. She feeds them quickly, piece by piece, until they settle. The storm grows louder outside. Wind pushes against the barn walls, testing the structure. But inside, the world is calm. The owl settles over her chicks, spreading her wings slightly to shield them from drafts. Her breathing slows. She stays alert, but no longer needs to move. Rain becomes a steady rhythm on the roof, a lullaby of survival. The chicks press together beneath her warmth, their tiny hearts beating softer, slower, slipping into sleep. Tonight, they are safe. The storm continues its song. The meadow listens. The owl closes her eyes. The night holds them gently. Night drapes itself over the rainforest like ink poured into water. Where daylight once filtered through leaves in shimmering beams, the moon now slips between branches as a thin silver whisper. The humid air holds the scent of damp earth, wild fruit, and distant rain. Everything here feels close. The ground, the canopy, the living breath of the forest itself. In this place, night is not silent. It hums softly, endlessly. Across the woven floor of roots and fallen leaves, faint sounds echo. Droplets falling from broad banana leaves, the chirping of tree frogs beginning their nightly opera, and the rustle of unseen wings passing overhead. Each sound exists in layers, forming a music that only the jungle can create. Not far from the riverbank, beneath a slanted tree trunk scarred by old storms, lies the jaguar. Her fur blends effortlessly into the tapestry of shadows, golden rosetted markings muted to dusky bronze by the moonlight. Her body is powerful, but she moves with a grace that seems impossible for her size. Nothing about her motion disturbs the night. Every paw placement is calculated. Every muscle is controlled. But she is not alone. A few meters behind, moving with far less refinement, follows her cub, nearly grown, though still lankier, still learning the language of silence. His eyes gleam with curiosity, but he steps too loudly, brushing leaves and snapping twigs underfoot. His tail sways with inexperience. The mother stops. The cub freezes, one paw suspended mid-air, his body poised in a clumsy attempt to mimic her stillness. She doesn't turn to look at him. She doesn't need to. His breathing tells her everything. In the jungle, the night belongs to those who master patience. Ahead, the river glides softly against the mud banks. Water drips from roots as if counting time. Capybaras, large, gentle rodents, graze near the water's edge, unaware that the jungle has begun to watch them. Their wet noses press into the soft reeds, teeth clipping stems in small, rhythmic bites. Tiny clouds of mosquitoes drift lazily around their ears. The mother jaguar lowers herself to the ground, belly brushing leaf litter. The cub watches her closely, mimicking her posture. His chest touches the earth, his ears tilt forward, his whiskers tremble. He's learning. She tests the wind. The scent is fragile. Prey ahead, water close, no other predators nearby. The cub shifts slightly and accidentally snaps a dry twig. The mother freezes. The capybaras stiffen, heads rising in unison. For a moment, nothing moves. Then the capybaras quietly return to feeding. The cub exhales, relieved. The mother does not relax. She rises and turns her head toward him, eyes steady, unblinking. Without a sound, she presses her forehead to his, a gesture not of affection, but of instruction, patience. She moves away from the river and into deeper shadow. Tonight is not about the easy kill. Tonight is a lesson. The cub follows again, slower this time. They walk deeper into the rainforest, where the trees twist into elegant arches and vines hang like draping curtains. Moonlight barely reaches the forest floor here. Instead, the world is guided by scent and sound. They reach an area where fallen figs cover the ground, sweet and fermenting. The smell attracts countless animals. Fruit bats swoop overhead, monkeys rummage through branches, and somewhere in the darkness, a small deer treads carefully. The jaguar mother waits in the shadow of a strangler fig tree. The cub settles beside her, breathing shallow, eyes wide. His tail twitches lightly, betraying nerves. A deer steps into view. Slender legs, delicate hooves, ears turning like satellite dishes. The cub looks at his mother, eager, trembling with anticipation. He wants to leap. His muscles coil, ready to burst into action. But he doesn't understand yet. Jaguars do not chase. They appear. The mother's gaze hardens. Her message is clear. Not yet. The deer takes another step, lowering its head to nibble overripe fruit. Its ears flick in the direction of a distant insect buzz, but it doesn't sense the jaguars. The cub cannot wait. Instinct overcomes discipline. He leaps, too soon, too high, landing with a thud rather than floating like a shadow. Leaves scatter. The deer's head jerks upward. In a single bound, it bolts into the trees, disappearing through brush before the cub can blink.
The forest explodes with movement. Branches whip, leaves fly.
Then, silence again. The cub stands where the deer once stood, chest heaving. Confusion covers him. He turns to his mother, expecting praise for effort, She walks past him without a word. Not cruel, not disappointed, simply honest. In the wild, effort does not feed you. Quiet precision does. They continue on, moving through a world painted in layers of green so dark it borders on black. A gentle mist settles, clinging to their fur. Insects hum. Water drips. A breeze threads its way through vines overhead, cooling the damp night air. Hours pass. Their bodies grow wet with condensation. Their paws grow heavy with night. The cub slows, his energy fading. He lingers too long on scents, investigates noises that do not matter. He is tired, and hunger begins to dull his focus. The mother presses on. She does not scold. She simply teaches by existing. At last, she stops before a fallen tree covered in moss. She lifts her head and inhales deeply. Something is near, something slow, something vulnerable. The cub senses her shift in energy. His heart quickens. He moves beside her quietly this time, responding not with impulse, but observation. The mother lowers her body, slipping beneath the fallen tree. Her fur grazes the damp bark, brushing away soft tufts of moss. The cub follows. On the other side lies a burrow, small, hidden beneath a tangled web of roots. A scent drifts out, warm, earthy, faintly musky. The cub recognizes it. A peccary, wild pig, alone. Peccaries usually travel in herds. Alone means injured or inexperienced. The mother circles to the right side of the burrow, positioning herself near the only escape route. She moves silently, with intention. She looks at the cub. This time, he understands. They wait. Minutes stretch. The forest breathes slowly around them. Then, the sound of hooves scraping dirt from within the burrow. The peccary emerges, pushing against the roots, stepping into open air. The cub remains motionless. His muscles are ready, but his body is quiet. The peccary sniffs the air. In one swift motion, the cub strikes, direct, powerful, well-timed. The peccary squeals, kicks, but the cub holds on. The mother moves in, a single precise bite ending the struggle. The cub steps back, panting, not from exertion, from disbelief. He did it. The mother lowers her head to the kill and begins to feed. After a moment, she nudges the carcass toward her cub. He hesitates, unsure. Then he eats, slowly, cautiously, then with hunger unmasked. It is not just food. It is proof. The moon drifts across the sky, tracing invisible paths between branches. Time becomes fluid. The cub eats until he cannot, then collapses beside the kill, paws tucked beneath him. The mother sits nearby, alert but calm. For a long moment, the forest is utterly still. Later, when the cub sleeps, the mother rises. She walks to the riverbank alone. The water reflects the moon like liquid mercury. Tiny ripples shimmer beneath her paws. She lowers her head to drink, slow, unhurried laps. When she's finished, she lifts her face to the night sky. She blinks slowly, letting jungle sounds fill her senses. This world is not quiet, but it is peaceful. She returns to the cub and settles beside him. She wraps her heavy tail partly over his body, not for warmth, but for comfort. Despite his size, he relaxes into her presence, just as he did when he was small. The rainforest hums around them. In a few months, he will leave her. He will hunt alone. He will walk the long, quiet nights by himself. But tonight he sleeps beside the one who taught him how to be a shadow. The moonlight softens, the frogs quiet. The world turns deeper into night. and the jaguars rest. The world above the ocean sleeps, unaware of the vast universe turning silently beneath it. Moonlight spills across the sea surface, turning waves into slow-moving silver hills. Each swell rises and falls with a calm rhythm of breath, the whole ocean breathing in, breathing out. Far below, deeper than sunlight dares to travel, a giant glides through the darkness. The humpback whale moves with effortless grace. Her body, massive and powerful, slices through the water without resistance. Muscles ripple beneath thick layers of blubber, sculpted through thousands of miles of migration. Every motion is slow, deliberate. She conserves energy, not because she is weak, but because she understands distance. She understands time. The open ocean is her home. It is also her memory. Tonight, she is traveling through a corridor of deep water that stretches between continents. The water here is darker than moonless sky, darker than the backs of the whales who travel it. But darkness is not empty. The whale listens. Sound moves differently in the deep ocean. It travels farther, faster, richer. Water holds sound the way air holds scent. The whale opens her jaw slightly, feeling vibrations along her lower jawbone, sensing faint frequencies that ripple across vast distances. There, faint but steady, the pulse of another whale's song. Long, low, a rolling phrase that stretches like an underwater horizon. She feels it before she hears it. Her flippers adjust slightly, guiding her toward the sound. Her pectoral fins, enormous, elegant wings, move through the water like white sails. Scars cross parts of her skin, faint reminders of past encounters with predators, nets, ships. But each scar is healed. Each scar marks survival. The water temperature shifts, cooler, denser. She descends deeper. Pressure increases, wrapping her like an invisible blanket. But pressure does not frighten her. It holds her, supports her. Her heart beats slower, 8 beats per minute, then 6, then 4, conserving oxygen stored deep in her blood and muscle tissue. 10 minutes pass, then 30. Time means nothing here. She is not rushing. She is traveling. Far overhead, bioluminescent plankton pulse like scattered stars. Tiny organisms shimmer blue in the trail behind her flukes, as if she is swimming through a mirrored night sky. Her body curves into a slow arc as she rises toward the surface to breathe. She breaks through the ocean's skin like a dream surfacing. For a moment, she is weightless, suspended between water and air, held by neither. Then, she exhales. A burst of vapor erupts from her blowhole, a pillar of white mist rising into the night. The sound echoes across the empty sea, a deep, resonant whoosh. The air is expelled with force, clouds catching moonlight as droplets scatter. Silence returns. She inhales, filling her vast lungs, lungs large enough to hold more than 1,000 gallons of air. Air flows into her blood, her muscles. Strength returns. She sinks again, effortlessly, like a slow descent into sleep. Below her, darkness stretches in every direction, but she is not afraid of dark. Darkness is where her world begins. She travels, guided not by sight, but by sound. A distant song reaches her again, this time clearer, richer. A humpback song is not just noise. It is structure, pattern, memory. Each population shares a song, and that song changes gradually from year to year. Whales spread versions of songs across oceans like cultural maps, carried by migrating individuals. Her pulse quickens. She dives towards it. The deeper she goes, the more the world narrows to vibration and instinct. She follows subtle changes in pitch, tiny variations in rhythm. The singer is not close, not yet, but close enough to feel. Each note rolls across her like a wave. She has not heard this voice since last season. The whale continues southeast, following temperature gradients in the water that guide her toward familiar currents. Upwelling forces deep nutrients toward the surface. Food for plankton, food for fish, food for the entire chain of life. Hunger tugs at her belly. She hasn't eaten since leaving the feeding grounds months ago. Humpbacks do not feed while in warm breeding waters. There is little to eat there. She has survived on stored fat, energy saved for migration. Soon she will reach a place where lanternfish rise toward the surface at night to feed, and plankton gather in shimmering clouds. But tonight is not only about hunger. She is returning to the breeding grounds. The currents shift against her flank, a subtle crosswind in water. She adjusts course, flicking her tail with one slow, powerful stroke. The flukes push against the water. Her entire body flexes, generating the thrust that sends her forward again. Below, something glimmers. A column of faint blue light spirals upward from the depths, bioluminescent plankton disturbed by movement. Then another flicker, farther to the right. A school of small fish changes direction, creating a shiver of light. She angles toward them. 1,000 silver bodies swirl beneath her like a single organism. They pulse in tight formations, turning left and right simultaneously. A living ballet of instinct. Then, a shadow enters. Not hers. Long, sleek body, narrow fins, a shape built for speed. A dolphin. It darts through the school of fish, twisting effortlessly. Others follow, a small pod, working together to herd prey. They take turns cutting through the tight formation, snapping up fish with swift precision. The pod notices her, not with fear, but curiosity. One dolphin breaks formation and approaches. It spirals around her head, clicking rapid sequences of sound, echolocation, a language of images formed through vibration. The whale remains still, watching. The dolphin brushes gently against her side. A greeting, light, playful. For a brief moment, their worlds meet. Two intelligent beings sharing the same night sea. But the whale is not here to play. She turns away slowly, body sweeping in a graceful arc, and dives deeper. She slips into cooler water where the dolphins cannot be bothered to follow. Silence returns. She feels the song again, stronger now. The male is close. She rises slowly toward the acoustics, letting the ocean carry her. At this depth, light barely exists. The world becomes sensation, memory, instinct. Then, from the darkness ahead, a shape, large, steady. He appears like a shadow cut from shadow, a massive presence suspended in the water, and he is singing. His long, haunting phrases roll through the sea. Low moans, rising cries, complex sequences that repeat in patterns gently shifting over time. The sound vibrates through her bones. She does not approach him directly. She circles, slow, deliberate, listening. He sings not to her, but for the ocean. His song is a declaration of existence. She drifts closer, each of her movements calm, confident. When she draws near, he stops singing. Silence folds around them, heavy and warm. For a moment, neither moves. They float side by side, massive bodies suspended effortlessly in darkness. Two ancient lives sharing the same silence. He exhales, a warm plume of bubbles rising toward the surface. Then he turns. They begin to swim together, not touching, but paralleling each other, matching pace. The movements are subtle, a turn of the flipper, a rise of the body. Their bodies cast faint shadows into the bioluminescent sea, leaving glowing trails behind them. Time drifts. They rise to breathe together. Two plumes burst into the night air like synchronized fountains. Two lungs fill. Two lives inhale the universe. Then they descend again. For now, that is enough. Hours later, the male continues singing in the distance, his song returning to the deep. But she feels something else beneath her now. Movement, a shifting current, a surge of life. The nightly vertical migration begins. Tiny plankton rise from the deep. Small fish follow them. Larger fish follow those. The ocean becomes a tower of life. The whale dives, turning her body toward the shimmering mass below. Lanternfish flicker like stars, each one blinking in silent communication. They move in waves, as if controlled by one collective mind. She opens her mouth. A vast filter-feeding net of baleen plates separates water from food. Water rushes out. Food stays. Her body swells with the intake, expanding like a great bell. When she closes her mouth, she presses her tongue upward, forcing water out through the baleen, trapping tiny fish and plankton inside. She swallows. Energy floods into her body. The hunger that has followed her for days loosens its grip. She dives and feeds again, again, again. Not rushed, not frantic, simply present. The world around her pulses with bioluminescence. Each movement leaves a trail of fading light. It is as if she swims through galaxies scattered underwater. The male returns, but this time he does not sing. He swims beside her silently, while she feeds, as though sharing the experience. When he dives deeper, she follows, descending into darker water, where their bodies disappear completely into shadow. Eventually, the hunger fades. Her pace slows. The male drifts away into the vastness, song resuming somewhere distant, a final fading gift to the night. She rises once more to the surface. Her body breaks through the water, droplets cascading from her skin. She inhales deeply, then exhales, sending a long mist into the night. The stars above mirror the bioluminescent glow below. For a moment, she hangs in the balance between two skies. She floats, suspended, weightless. No worry, no urgency, only the quiet. Soon she will continue her migration. Soon she will reach the breeding grounds and give birth to new life. But tonight she drifts beneath the moon in the embrace of the open sea. She closes her eyes. The ocean holds her. The world, above and below, sleeps. Night in the Arctic feels like its own season. Here, darkness isn't a brief visitor that slips between sunsets. It stays. It settles. During the long polar night, the sun does not rise for weeks, sometimes months. The horizon holds only a lingering bruise of twilight, a faint wash of deep blue that never becomes full day. Stars dominate the sky, and the moon, when it climbs high, stretches reflections across the endless snow like a trail to nowhere. The air is silent, not quiet, silent. Sound seems to freeze here, suspended like frost on eyelashes. Across this frozen expanse moves a small shape, barely more than a whisper against the white landscape. An Arctic fox travels with purpose, paws barely sinking into the crust of snow. Her fur, thick, deep winter white, blends perfectly with the world around her, making her nearly invisible beneath the moonlight. She pauses. Her black nose twitches once, twice. Beneath the snow, deep under a layer of ice crystals, something moves. A vole. Warm, breathing, alive. She can hear it with remarkable detail, not by sound exactly, but through vibration. The fox tilts her head, listening with a stillness so complete that even the wind seems to stop out of respect. Then, without warning, she leaps. A sharp, graceful arc. Up, weightless. Down, precise, thump. Her paws break through the snow crust. But the vole escapes. It darts through an unseen tunnel, leaving nothing behind but disturbed powder. The fox lands, sinks slightly, and lets out a puff of air, watching her breath spiral like smoke into the cold. No meal. She stands motionless for a moment. Hunger tugs at her belly, a constant companion at the edge of survival. Winter here does not forgive missteps. She lifts her head, scanning the moonlit ridge beyond. Snow drifts dance and swirl under wind. The fox trots forward, weaving between patches of icy ground and frost-hardened ridges. The Arctic is vast, but she is alone. She used to have a mate, a strong male with a thick winter coat and a curious spirit. Together, they raised pups last season in a den carved into the side of a small hill. They took turns hunting, bringing back bits of food to the scrambling, squeaking pups who tumbled over each other whenever they arrived. But when the first heavy storms of the season rolled across the tundra, he did not return. Predator, ice, wind. She will never know. Instinct told her to return to the den once more, even after snow sealed its entrance. She scraped at the snow with her paws, as if willing him to be there. But tonight, she searches alone. She presses forward. The snow crunches softly beneath her paws, a sound swallowed instantly by the endless night. Ahead, the land begins to slope downward toward a frozen coastline. The sea ice stretches far into the distance, a vast sheet of pale glass. On clear nights, she can hear cracks echoing across the frozen surface, deep, booming sounds like the earth gently exhaling. She travels toward the shoreline, not because there is food, but because sometimes there may be leftovers, and leftovers can mean life. She stops when she reaches a ridge that overlooks the ice. Down on the frozen sheet, a much larger shape moves, slow, deliberate, silent. A polar bear. The fox crouches low, not out of fear, but respect. She is no threat to the bear, and the bear rarely blames hunger on foxes. She watches him. He walks the ice in long, steady strides, each paw landing silently. His nose tests the air for seals, a nearly invisible scent trail only he seems able to follow. His body sways gently, enormous yet graceful. He pauses occasionally to sniff the breathing holes seals use to surface. The fox waits. Polar bears mean opportunities. She follows at a safe distance, not too close, not too far, just enough to benefit from the scraps he leaves behind after feeding. The bear lowers his head over a seal's breathing hole and waits. Time stretches. The wind rises slightly. Snow grains skitter and slide across the ice. The fox lowers her body into the snow and tucks her tail around herself, conserving heat. Her eyes never leave the bear. A seal surfaces. The polar bear strikes. The hunter becomes unstoppable motion. Weight, precision, force. There is no struggle, no wasted energy, only survival. The fox waits. When the bear begins to eat, she approaches cautiously. She moves sideways, glancing down, pretending not to look too interested. The bear ignores her. His meal is large enough, and she poses no challenge. She waits until he turns his head away. Then she darts forward, bites off a scrap of meat, and retreats with a small, triumphant hop. Cold meat, high in fat, enough to buy her another day. She returns to the ridge above, out of the bear's path, and devours her prize quickly before it freezes. Warmth spreads through her body, tiny sparks of energy that chase away the weight of hunger. She licks snow from her whiskers. Wind shifts direction. A storm approaches. She senses it instantly. Changes in air pressure, shifts in scent. The world darkens even further as clouds swallow moonlight. Snow begins to drift sideways, carried by wind. She must find shelter. She heads toward a small rise in the landscape, a low mound that creates a subtle break in the otherwise flat plain. Beneath it lies an old fox den, abandoned years ago. The entrance is almost sealed by snow. She digs, claws scrape ice. Snow flies behind her. Wind whips against her fur, pushing her sideways. But she keeps working, carving a narrow tunnel. Her breath steams. Her paws ache. At last, the ice gives way and reveals a pocket of darkness below. She slips inside just as wind slams loose snow across the entrance, sealing her in. Warmth, not heat, but closure. An absence of wind. Protection. Inside the den, she paws at the dirt floor, circling twice before settling. Her fur puffs around her like a blanket. Snow muffles the roar of the storm overhead, turning the world into soft white silence. She sleeps lightly. Even in sleep, her ears twitch, reading vibrations through earth and snow. Hours pass. The storm weakens. When she wakes, the den is quiet. She noses the exit and pushes through. Snow gives way. The world outside is new, reshaped by wind, fresh drifts sculpted into smooth waves. The polar bear has moved on. The sea ice crackles and groans, adjusting under shifting weight. She climbs to a ridge. The horizon glows faintly. Pale pink, soft purple, colors so gentle they look imagined. Not sunrise, just the suggestion of it. A reminder that somewhere, beyond the tilt of the planet, light still exists. The fox begins to move again, searching for scent trails beneath the snow. The cold stiffens her whiskers. Frost forms around her nostrils. She stops. Her ears swivel sharply. Movement beneath the snow, faint, rhythmic. She positions herself, still, focused. Then she leaps. Her body arcs through the air, a perfect dive into soft powder. Snow explodes around her. She disappears completely, only her tail sticking out like a small, waving flag. She emerges moments later, snow dusting her fur, a vole clenched in her jaw. This time, she does not lose it. She eats quickly, swallowing warmth into her belly. And when she finishes, she lifts her head again, listening to the Arctic breathe. Wind sweeps across open ice, carrying no particular sound, just the powerful emptiness of distance. She keeps walking. Her prints trail behind her, 2 neat rows of dots leading into a pale world. Each step takes her deeper into the night, deeper across her territory. She does not hurry. She does not fear the miles ahead, for she has learned the truth of this landscape.
Nothing here stays still, but nothing is ever truly lost.
Somewhere in the endless white, another den waits, another hunting opportunity, another night survived. The Arctic holds its stories close, but tonight it has allowed us to witness hers. The fox continues forward, paws silent on snow, swallowed by the vastness. Her white fur blends into the world. She disappears. The night goes on. Night begins to fold inward, not suddenly, not with force, but with the gentlest motion, like fabric being drawn across a resting body. The world softens, edges blur, sounds quiet into deeper tones. Every creature we have followed through this long night moves toward stillness. The owl settles deeper into her nest, feathers fluffed around her sleeping chicks, their breathing soft, rhythmic, safe. Somewhere in the silent rafters above, she closes her eyes, trusting that for now the darkness holds no threats. Far away in the warmth of the rainforest, the jaguar rests beside her young hunter, his belly full, his lesson learned. The night carries on without them, but they no longer chase it. The air around them is thick with scents of damp leaves and crushed figs, their heartbeats sinking with the slow pulse of the jungle. Beneath the ocean surface, where moonlight fades into infinite blue, the whale drifts in near weightlessness. Each slow movement of her massive flippers keeps her suspended in a body of water vast enough to swallow time. The rhythmic thud of her heart echoes into the deep, calm, steady, eternal. And on the frozen edge of the world, the Arctic fox disappears into the endless white, her tiny body leaving prints that are quickly erased by drifting snow. She is alone, but not lost. She has the night, the wind, and the ancient language of survival to guide her. One night, 4 worlds, 1,000 heartbeats. Yet night doesn't belong to any of them alone. Night belongs to everyone who moves quietly through the dark. The meadow breathes, the rainforest hums, the sea murmurs, the Arctic sighs. Somewhere, the moon stirs the tide. Somewhere else, the wind combs the tall grass of an empty field.
Everywhere, the world is dreaming.
And now, with all our stories unfolding and settling into silence, we drift into the slowest part of night, the hour when even the moon seems to exhale. The horizon begins to change, not with color, not yet, but with a feeling, a sense that something is shifting. The owl feels it first. She opens one eye, sensing a faint change in air pressure. She adjusts her wings but does not rise. The chicks breathe beneath her like 3 tiny metronomes keeping time. The jaguar senses it too. A thinning of darkness, a subtle lightening of the sky hidden beyond the canopy. She stays lying down, but her ears twitch, aware. Far out in the ocean, the whale feels the surface calling her again. She moves upward slowly. Her flukes make wide arcs through the water, pushing her toward a thin layer of light filtering down from above. She breaks the surface and breathes, a deep inhalation followed by a smooth release of air. The mist catches the first hint of color on the horizon, pink, faint, delicate. The fox, curled in the shallow shelter of a snowdrift, stirs at the subtle shift in temperature. She opens her eyes and looks toward the horizon, even though she knows she will not see the sun. In winter, light returns slowly, suggested long before it arrives. Every creature prepares for morning in its own quiet way. But for now, darkness remains, not defeated, just exhaling. The last stretch of night is a place humans rarely witness. It is the moment when nothing needs to happen anymore. The world stops striving, stops hunting, stops searching. Even the restless things are finally still. And in the middle of it, you are here, listening, breathing, drifting. If you could look at Earth from far away, you would see it turning, slowly, gracefully. One endless curve of night sliding into day, another sliding into night. All the animals we have followed tonight exist within that motion. Their stories are not isolated scenes, but threads in the same tapestry. The owl hunts so her chicks will grow. The jaguar teaches so her cub will survive. The whale travels so her future calf will be born in warm waters. The fox endures winter so life will bloom again in spring. All of them live by night. All of them move without applause. All of them survive not with noise, but with quiet strength. The night has room for them all. The night has room for you too. You are not watching these worlds from the outside. You are part of them. As your breathing slows, your body begins to mirror the pace of the animals we have followed. Unhurried, present, held by darkness. You do not have to try to sleep. You do not have to force anything. Just listen to the invisible rhythm of the night. In, out, like the whale rising and falling with the tide. In, out, like the fox padding silently across new snow. In, out, like the owl gliding through darkness. You are safe. You are warm. You are exactly where you need to be. Dawn begins to touch the edge of the world. Birds test their voices. One call, then another. Not fully awake, just curious about light returning. A faint blush rises on the horizon, washing the world in colors that feel impossibly tender. The owl shifts her weight, but she does not fly. The chicks sleep on. Soon she will leave again, but not now. The night has given her enough. The jaguar stretches slowly, muscles rippling beneath her spotted coat. She watches her cub sleep for a moment longer. Soon he will begin to hunt alone, but not now. The night has given him his first success. The whale glides through a changing band of water, light filtering down like pale ribbons. She will travel again soon, but for now she floats, suspended between depth and dawn. The fox lifts her head to the horizon, where darkness meets a whisper of morning. She will keep walking. She always does. But now she rests in the pause between breaths. And you drift with them, feeling the weight of everything soften, feeling night loosen its hold. You do not need to listen anymore. You can simply fall into whatever comes next, fall into rest, fall into sleep. The last stars fade. The first light grows. The night slips away quietly. The world exhales. Sleep well, traveler. May your dreams be wild, and may the night always hold you gently.